I want you to imagine this situation. You have just had a stroke. You cannot communicate in any way. You cannot talk. You cannot use your hands. You're now in the hospital. Your family surrounding you. And the physician says to your family, we have to make some choices. Honestly, ask yourself, have you communicated your wishes to your family enough that they know how to communicate them to the physicians? Or have you kept it a secret and you've never talked about this? And now you're putting pressure on them to guess and hope that they can properly communicate your wishes. Unfortunately, this is the reality that people face every single day. Thankfully, we have certified financial planner Bryan here with us today, and he is going to help us talk about the importance of defining your wishes and communicating those wishes to your family. Bryan, thank you so much for being here with us today.
No, I'm happy to be here, and I hope I can help.
What you'll get from us today is how to get very clear on what you want, how to communicate your wishes to your family, how to relieve the stress from your family when these decisions have to be made. And then we're going to talk about the free planning guide that Bryan and I made together for you guys. Bryan, tell us your thoughts on this. Why is this so important?
Yeah, it leads to a lot of stress for the family members, which then turns into guilt because if they don't truly know what they should be doing, they have that guilt that they're doing something wrong and they want to do everything as perfectly as they can. But then what ends up happening is family members tend to disagree, and that leads to a lot of internal conflict, and that, peace of mind is just really never there. We're always worried about the unknowns in this scenario.
Yeah, I always say when these moments happen, there's already so much emotion that's behind it. Why add guilt on top of it all? Don't make your family guess about it.
It's hard to say anything better than that.
So, what are the key questions that you should consider? Number one, location. Where do you want to receive care? Some people want it in their own home. Some people want to move in with their children. Some people want to go into assisted care. Some people want to go into a nursing home. It's your choice, but if you don't define it, everyone's left guessing on what you want. What about your family? What kind of role do you want for them? Some people have the opinion, I want my children taking care of me every step of the way. Other families want their children to remain more independent. They don't want to have to burden their children with their care. Make sure you tell your children which one is important to you. And then financial priorities. Bryan, I know you're going to talk about this a lot coming up, but Some people say, I've worked my whole life for this money, and now this money I want to go for my care. Other families say, I want as little money spent on me as possible. I want that money spent or left behind for my children. And then personal dignity. How do you want to live your life? Are you spending the days the way that you wanted them or the way that's being forced upon you because you didn't get the chance to communicate those wishes?
So things I see all the time is a lot of times people assume that their family knows what they want, and that assumption is really just a lack of preparation. It's not necessarily true. The family doesn't actually know. And when you're actually in that scenario where you need care, different things shoot off in your brain, and a lot of times family members second guess themselves too. And I also see that people like to kick this kind of stuff down the road. It's not a fun topic. No one's excited to talk about planning their care. We love to talk about stocks and other things instead. So people just kind of push it down the road till later, and they never really address it. And what that leads to is family members making the wrong decisions, being in high stressful environments. They wait so long that now it's too late and they can't plan. This happened to my family and one of my grandparents that waited until a point where they couldn't legally communicate their wishes anymore. And there were really important changes that we couldn't make.
So it really comes down to mindset, honestly, right, Bryan? You say this all the time. The hardest part of planning is showing up for the first conversation.
Oh, yeah.
People get so nervous about planning. So what we want to do as we continue this is we really want to help change your mindset around this. Let's move from an idea of, I don't want to have to plan because it's so much work and I don't want to think about it, to really moving it to planning today is going to save my family so much heartache in the future.
Doing this planning, it shouldn't be increasing your stress to do it. It really ends up being stress relieving. It's just taking that first step that, just like all things in life, tends to be the most difficult.
And I think that's the number one thing that we see the first time people come to us for this. They are so nervous. They don't know what to talk about. They're uptight. And when
Sure.
it's all done, they're like, that was so, are we really done? That was easy.
Yeah, the hardest part, again, just like most things, is generally getting started.
Brian, we see this with our clients every single day. They come
Mhm.
in and they think that money is the most important part of this planning, but there's so much more to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, most people think that, like myself as a certified financial planner, I'm only focusing on the quantitative side of things or the money and the numbers. And yes, that's obviously very important, but there's also the qualitative side of things too. What's more than money? What do you want your life to look like? What does comfort mean to you? What decisions do you want to have made? If money was no object, what does that picture perfect life look like? And that involves more than just you. It's your immediate family, it's your friends, it's the way your grandkids perceive you. There's so much more than just the numbers. It's your quality of life, and it's, I hate saying reputation, but it's the dignity that you maintain and that you're remembered by. And what I see with families that don't plan, and unfortunately I see a lot of this, is when we don't plan for these things, there's a lot of family arguments, a lot of conflict, like we said earlier, where different family members want different things and they all believe they're in the right. How do you make that decision? Who's actually going to trump who? And that, again, it says right here, crisis decisions, but when your stress levels are really high and you have a short period of time to make a decision and you have to cut one of the wires, is it the red wire or the blue wire? You don't always make the decision that you would have made if you had time to think about it and actually internalize those decisions. And when you make decisions that are either technically incorrect or you perceive the potential that they may have been incorrect, that's what leads to regret. That it's very hard to shed that when you're dealing with things of this seriousness with family members.
But the good news is, you and I have been through this so much.
Oh,
We
yeah.
know the problems, the ins and outs, and how hard it is just to get these conversations going, that we created a long-term care planning guide to help people have these conversations together.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really excited to share this with people.
Yeah, it took some time, but anything that's good takes a little time.
Yes. So we are happy to introduce our long-term care planning guide. This took about a year for us to fully get together, but it's here now. And the thing that we love the most about it, we really try to touch on every aspect of planning. So if you're an analytical person, that's in there for you. If you're a research person, that's in there for you. If you're more of the emotional side, that's in there for you. What this guide does is it walks you through all of the different opportunities there are for long-term care planning, all the ways that you can solve it, the reasons you would need it, what Medicare covers and insurance covers, what it doesn't cover. And then it goes through worksheets to help you define the type of care that you want and possible ways that you could afford it. And for me, one of my favorite parts for this is the ending letter that's in here, because I think it's so important. We've helped create a really simple letter to where you can check little boxes off to help explain your decisions to your children and why why you're choosing this particular type of care. That's my favorite part of the planner. Do you have a favorite part, Bryan?
I'd say it's not so much a section, but I like the way that it reads. Is you can get as in depth and in the weeds if you want, because I'm more of an in depth, in the weeds, really analytical type brain. But you can also keep it very big picture and very conceptual. So if you like things to be that more big picture type mentality, this works both ways. And that just really appeals to me. It was a little difficult for us to curate, but once we figured that out, to me, that is the most important part, or maybe it's just what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. Everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different way that they want to get there. And we wanted to create something that met everyone where they were. So it's as much or as little education as you want, but it's all there if you want it.
Retirement planning is not a one size fits all type of thing. No matter how many news articles and TV shows tell you, and financial gurus online say, it's really very nuanced and it's personal. So we want to make sure that we're personalizing not just the investment portion of the plan, but everything outside around it. And this is one of those slices of the pie that a lot of people miss.
Yes. And it's one of the most important slices of the pie.
It's so not fun to talk about that it's so easy to kick it down the road. And that's one of the big reasons that I suspect people just neglect it. I don't think it's because people want to neglect it. It's just, I'd much rather see my stock portfolio and talk about how that's going up than having to talk about needing care in the future. Because if you plan for it, there's an acceptance that this may happen. And a lot of people, I think it's tough to accept that. And then that puts the burden that is much, much greater on their family members. That's one of the things from a results-based state of thinking that I see.
Yeah, and overall, we really want to shift this from oh my God, I don't want to think about this, to it's okay because I've planned for this.
Yeah, it should be liberating. It should be very freeing, not the other way around. It's really probably more restrictive, and it probably feels more like those gray clouds over your head, knowing you haven't done it, because you have that little conscience inside of you that knows that you probably should. And we like to suppress that as human beings. That's how we are with a lot of things.
When you get this guide, it will be emailed to everyone that registered for the webinar. If you're watching this on YouTube, it is linked in the comments. But what we hope it will do is help you really start those meaningful conversations with your family. Really be able to help you list out your values, what's important to you in care should the time come. And then protect your independence. Make sure that you're defining and putting into plans. If you define it, you get to live the life that you want and not the life that is being thrust up on you because other people are making the decisions for you. What this guide really allows you to do is to help your family act without fear and guilt. They get to make the decisions that are already hard. It's already hard watching your family members need care. But this allows to take some of the stress off of them and reduce some of the emotion that's involved so they can give you the plan that you wanted and not guess about what you wanted and just hope that they get it right.
For me, what I really hope people get out of this guide is that they start to have these true, meaningful, and maybe difficult conversations with their family. Again, most people come to me looking to handle the money side of things, and I like to think I'm halfway decent at doing that. But what I can't do is I can't communicate to their family members the same way that they can. I can't have those conversations. I can't put myself in that room. It's so impactful. I just see the faces of so many people, like we talked about before, that regret of not doing it because we just let the clock keep ticking, and we just, again, I sound like a broken record, but we kicked it down the road. So that's what I hope. Again, the money side is what I'm good at and where I spend most of my time. But if people can come to me and they can have those conversations, whether they're before, during, after, they're hopefully continuous, because things may change over time. You may say one thing and want one thing now, and then realize 7 years from now that you want something different. So, this isn't a one-time thing. This is something that needs to be updated over time. But having this, story that you're sharing and having these deep conversations is the most important. And I really hope that at least one person on this webinar is inspired to do that from our conversation today.
Bryan, I want to thank you so much for doing this with me today and helping me create this guide. I'm positive we're going to be able to positively change because of this.
Couldn't do it without your help. It's a teamwork, makes the dream work. And again, if it's only one or two people, to me, that's what matters. So it starts small and it builds over time, and it matters. So I hope this is really helpful to people.
All right. Well, for everyone watching, as we said, the link is in the comments. We do have a private Facebook group that you're welcome to join. It is WV Medicare Questions. And then anyone can call in at any point, 681-340-1377, and book a free planning session with Bryan and I. You can also do it through our website, justusretirement.com. You just have to click on book an appointment. And Bryan, thank you again for being here. And for everyone that's watching, please download this guide. Go have a conversation with your family today.